All right, let's do a quick recap of what I've done to this thing and pretty much what you didn't see that I did do. I believe I told you about the dash. Finally got all the gauges in there, got all the wiring completed other than putting wire loom on it to get it all tidied up. But other than that, I used the original fuse box instead of getting an aftermarket one. I think it worked out pretty good. So I'm gonna run through this Jeep real quick and just kind of show you what I've done. The dash, as you can see, get a little bit better angle. I've got all the gauges. I've got my toggle switches in there, and it kind of goes across there. Uh, got my fuel gauge in there. The speedometer, I'm actually going to use a GPS. I'll buy me one of them little ones from a pawn shop or whatever. Or I think my wife's got a little one. I'll just rob it from her. And I'm just going to use a GPS for a speedometer. They're pretty damn accurate. Usually within, 10 feet, depending on where you're at. Of course, like I said, I'm not going to drive this thing on the road much. It's more of an off-road toy than anything else. But to get to Land Between the Lakes there in Kentucky side, I'll drive it on the road because I don't live that far from Land Between the Lakes. And of course, once I get it done and get out there, I'll have some footage out there as well. Let's see. To get to the points of what I've done. Recap on the shackles. I've dropped them about 6.5 inches on the rear, 4 inch drop, drag link, 4 inch rise steering arm. That was a big help. I did drive it around in the yard and the driveway. Uh, what a difference! I have not took it down the road yet. Um, it's not ready for the road yet, but excuse me. But I believe it's going to do fine. The sway bar, I'm going to come up with something different. I just got what they got in here right now. They did weld an extension piece in there, as you can see right there in the center. Um, I am going to do something different. I may wind up coming up with some type of bracket and bushing right up underneath of there to come down to possibly do a disconnect or something of that nature. I definitely have to have it, being this high up. Now there is a lot of stuff, a lot of little stuff that I need to touch up and finish up on. The front shackles, I got that done. Um, that's about 8.5 inches of a drop right there. Of course, now when I finish this up, this here will be rounded off. I got my cross piece in here for stability. I'm still going to put a gusset from the frame to this. I'm not sure, probably about where the bar is, and go up on either side from here to here with a gusset just for added security. We'll kind of see what happens here. Like I said, this is going to be rounded off. We're nice and neat. The front bumper I got on there, I put this plate on it because this was just flopping around, and I made me a bracket here for the just like if you would on an original Jeep, the center mount. So now it's up where it needs to be, and it's stable. And this plate, I cut this out here, and this plate here will actually wind up being a mountain plate for a winch. Haven't got the winch yet. That's kind of on the expense list. I wanted to bolt the bumper on, and for some odd reason, I wound up welding it. I guess I got happy that day with welding. I don't know. So it's welded on. There is a couple more braces I do want to do to it. I want to make it strong. These corner pieces, as you can see, It's kind of close to the wheel. I don't know how much flex I'm going to have. I'm actually probably going to wind up probably cutting it right across here like this, and then putting the cap on it like, you know, they got right here, and just shorten it in a little bit, and see what happens there. I do want something here to kind of help protect the steering box. The lights, they were hanging in by, I don't know what the hell they use, coat hanger or whatever. They're actually in now. Of course, I do gotta adjust them. These lights I took out because they were just super bright. I'm not sure what I'll do with them. I may wind up putting them lights back in, or come up with something different, and then have a separate toggle switch for them, just for the, you know, bright lights that would be added, like off-road trailing or something like that. They won't be used for the street because they're just super bright. Yeah, this is my roll cage. It's just sitting here. I had to take it off in order to get it in the garage. Let's see, the shocks I still got to do. What I'm going to do here is get rear shocks for it. Got the measurements for the rear shocks, and that's what I'll use up front. And then redo how they got the square tubing on here. Just redo all that to where it mounts like it should. Let's see. Like I said, I got all the wiring done. The fuel tank is got my fuel gauge. I had dropped the fuel tank down a little bit on that. I did buy a new float assembly and gauge, and I wind up also getting a gauge from who the hell are they? Bosch gauges. I wind up buying a Bosch gauge from the auto parts store just because I had the other Bosch gauges, and I decided to try it out, you know, and see if that float inside that tank actually works. Well, guess what? It works, and it works really good with that Bosch gauge. I did compare it with the other gauge that I bought, and the other gauge is reading slightly off. So I compared the Bosch gauge with the float from the other set that I bought, and the Bosch was slightly off. So I think the Bosch is more accurate to this float that was in this tank, and this is the original float for the Jeep. This is a Jeep gas tank. I estimated I had about a half a tank, and that gas gauge is showing about a half a tank. So I'm pretty good on that. Now, the drivetrain, I phased the rear dry shaft because it was off, way off. So that eliminated a lot of vibration there because the phasing was off where they took it apart. I did do my angle measurements with an angle finder, and looking at it, you're going to say, oh, no, that ain't right. Well, the angle finder says it is. Downfall is it's such a short dry shaft and a short distance. As far as traveling, I don't know how much drop I got. I don't know how well that's going to fare as far as coming apart.